Carnage, Cletus Cassidy, the second Venom created because the first one was now a hero. I hate this guy. Not just because he's a villain and the story is supposed to make me hate the character, but because he combines the worst aspects of Venom and the Joker to become a character who exists whenever writers need to raise the body count. And boy oh boy does he raise the body count. Which brings us to Maximum Carnage, the most well-known story to feature the scarlet-clad symbiote serial killer. This story was written in the 90s, with all the implications that brings to mind. It was, however, popular enough to get a video game adaptation based directly on the story, something of a rarity to this day. So, what's the story like? Well, keep watching as I delve into Maximum Carnage! The story opens with Cletus Cassidy breaking out of a holding facility, because these facilities are made out of wet paper and stuffed by lemmings. While murdering his way through the faculty, Cassidy encounters a fan, a mutant imprisoned in the same facility, Shriek, who appeared in the second Venom movie. The two decide to team up, and it's not long before the deadly duo become a terrible trio, as Shriek and Carnage encounter Doppelganger, who is an evil duplicate of Spider-Man created by the Magus in the comic Infinity War and died in the comic but somehow is now alive because he has a cool visual look. Shriek takes a liking to him, I wonder if it's the teeth or the arms, and decides to adopt him as part of their family. Meanwhile, Peter and Mary Jane are returning from the funeral of Harry Osborn. Don't worry, he gets better. Okay, time to get a few things out of the way here. Firstly, Peter's parents are back. And as someone who read this 2 decades after his publication, I am unfortunately burdened with the knowledge that these are not actually his parents. Spoilers, I guess. And so I'll be ignoring them for the rest of this story. Secondly, we need to talk about Peter and MJ's marriage. Namely, the fact that the writers of the time had no idea how to write a married MJ. So she was constantly written as trying to get Peter to stop being Spidey and worrying about whether or not he would get hurt fighting supervillains. So yeah, skipping that part too. The carnage, pun absolutely intended, begins when Spidey is attacked by Shriek and Doppelganger, who break 2 of his ribs, which is a handicap that remains throughout the rest of the story. He is saved by Cloak and Dagger, who also had a TV series apparently, and the 3 of them manage to fight Shriek and Doppelganger on more even footing. But Cassidy soon joins up with them, and Dagger is apparently killed by Shriek in the ensuing chaos. Cloak swears vengeance on them and decides to make them pay. Meanwhile, Venom returns to New York to fight Carnage and is so thoroughly overpowered by the trio that this comic, which is 90% fighting, decided that they couldn't show such an epic beatdown on panel. The villain Demogoblin also joins Carnage's crew, because why not, and Felicia Hardy, aka the Black Cat, decides to help in stopping Carnage and his cronies. Cloak encounters the villains, and the rest of the good guys show up in time to help. This encounter ends with Venom deciding to do whatever it takes to bring down Carnage, and Felicia and Cloak joining him. They recruit Morbius, whose movie featuring Jared Leto is coming soon at the time of this video's release, and end up fighting the Carnage crew. You know what? I'm gonna give them a nickname for convenience's sake. At a nightclub, Spidey shows up and evens the odds against the Cuddly Bears, having decided that extreme measures are necessary after seeing a homicidal mob inspired by the Cuddly Bears wreaking havoc. We get a bit of a breather as the heroes take some time to plan out their next move. They sneak into the Fantastic Four's headquarters to get Reed Richards' sonic cannon. The FF weren't available at the time of this story. And also recruit Firestar of the New Warriors. You might remember her from the old Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends cartoon, with the plan being to lure the cuddly bears into Cassidy's old home. Speaking of whom, the cuddly bears acquire another playmate, Carrion, who decays whoever he touches, and the five of them now fight Deathlock, who you might remember from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Man, why can't people recognize these characters? They have appeared in a lot of media outside of comics. Who gets brutally beaten by the cuddly bears and is trussed up into an electric billboard. The heroes and the cuddly bears end up in a massive brawl. Wow, haven't had one of those in a while, in which Reed's sonic gun is destroyed. It's revealed that Shriek is using her powers to make people homicidal. Firestar nearly brings down Carnage, but thanks to Spidey's change of heart, doesn't end up killing him. This causes Venom to angrily knock out Spidey, and in turn, Eddie is captured by the cuddly bears. Meanwhile, Deathlock is helped out by Iron Fist, who you may remember from that Netflix series everyone keeps telling me is terrible, and then Captain America shows up to help Spidey. You might remember Captain America from... Okay, not doing the gag. Black Cat, Morbius, and Cloak decide to pursue the cuddly bears while Spidey and Firestar join Cap at Avengers HQ, where Iron Fist and Deathlock join them. We get a lovely image of Shriek and Carnage torturing Venom inside the Statue of Liberty, while the rest of the cuddly bears fight Black Cat's group, leading to Felicia getting injured. And then, I kid you not, this next scene led to these exact words coming out of my mouth. Spawn? What are you doing in a Marvel comic? No, my viewers, it's not Spawn, but instead it's Nightwatch. You'll probably forgive me for mixing the two up, unless you're a hardcore Nightwatch fan, in which case please outline in detail how much I suck in the comments down below. The group at Avengers HQ decide to do a little crowd control, encountering Shriek whipping people into a murderous frenzy, while Not Spawn and Jared Leto take on the rest of the cuddly bears, Felicia and Cloak deciding to take time to recover. Unfortunately, with the sun coming up, Morbius begins to weaken, so Nightwatch takes him and flees, accomplishing nothing. Spidey's group do a little better, capturing Shriek and getting the citizenry to calm down, until she frees herself with the rest of the cuddly bears and makes them go homicidal again, bringing them back to square one. Real good job showcasing the human spirit there, guys. Venom escapes from Carnage, who gets pretty pissed about that and decides to take out his anger on the rest of the cuddly bears, killing Doppelganger, who was trying to protect Shriek. The heroes and the remaining cuddly bears prepare to face off, until Dagger reappears, having pulled herself back together with the help of Cloak. Dagger and Shriek have a rematch, with Dagger nearly getting through to her, but Shriek lashing out blindly at the last minute. This gives Spidey an idea, and he sends off the rest of the heroes to complete said idea, facing down the cuddly bears on his own. He gets knocked around for a bit and is about to be killed when the others return with a secret weapon. Called the Good Bomb. I've got nothing. But that's not all, folks. This good bomb being emitted out of Deathlock's chest not only manages to turn Shriek good, but also turns Carrion back into a human. Why not at this point, right? Demogoblin escapes, but Carnage dies resisting the bomb's effect, making the hero's attempts to non-lethally subdue him all moot. And I would have believed that if there wasn't another issue left in this really long story. Anyway, Venom approaches Spidey, mad at losing his chance to kill Carnage, but is way too tired to fight Peter over it. Which is unfortunate when Carnage shows up to fight both of them. However, all three are a bit off. Venom is still recovering from his torture, Carnage isn't thinking straight, even more so than usual, and Spidey is recovering from his partially broken ribs. along with a set of new ones Venom gave him to stop him from pursuing him. Peter takes some time to recover, and we do get a nice scene with MJ telling him that she worries for his safety but loves him regardless of what he does, knowing he does it for a good reason. This is followed by another decent scene where Venom notes that he has to kill Carnage as he's a dark reflection of himself, to which Spidey replies, kind of like you and me. They chase down Carnage to the graveyard where his mother is buried, finding him in the process of digging up her coffin. The trio fight and Carnage nearly kills Spidey, but Felicia returns to make the save. Venom gets the upper hand on Cassidy, but Spidey's words seem to have gotten to him, as he hurls both of them into a pair of generators, causing a massive explosion. Peter and Felicia recover Cassidy's unconscious body and surmise that Venom probably survived as well. The comic finally ends with Spidey declaring that some monsters stay dead and buried in front of the graves of Norman and Harry Osborn. Unfortunately, once again, as a result of reading this comic like 2 decades later, the knowledge that they both return to life kinda hurts the emotional impact this story is trying to go for. A+ for effort, though. So, final thoughts. To be as nice as possible, the best praise I can give the overall story is its simplicity. The cuddly bears are killing people, Spidey wants to stop them, but he faces a dilemma on how far he should go, and Venom is here too, I guess. It's easy to follow, especially considering what was to come. But the story is unbearably long, with a simple premise stretched out over 14 issues and artificially inflated by constantly bringing in new characters, mostly on the hero's side. Not that they really matter a lot, as the various fights mostly end in stalemates in favor of the cuddly bears. Now, to surprise you all, I'll actually recommend this comic. No, seriously. It's a fascinating period piece of the type of comics that were popular in the 90s, and I actually found myself enjoying myself at times. And I'm also clearly not the only one, as this story was not only popular enough to get a video game, but a haunted house, a pinball game, and apparently was the basis of the second Venom movie. I didn't watch it, so no clue. Carnage still sucks.